welcome to another video from Brand X Reviews. This is the first part of a video series I'm going to be doing. I've called it the Stath-athon, which means basically Jason Statham Filmathon. I've created a new word basically. Now, I say it's the first part. I don't know how many parts are going to be. I would say at least 2 or 3 because he's done quite a few films and I've pretty much got them all from start to finish. I'll have to kind of pan. I'll just do it this way. You can see there's like 30 films here that he's done. There's a couple of exclusions. I haven't got Romeo and Juliet because that was a kid's film. It's a cartoon. Well, it was an animated thing, and he did one of the voices in it, so I don't really count that. But these are all the films that I've collected anyway, and we're going to go through them all in some kind of chronological order. So let's start at the beginning. Basically, let's see who this guy is and how he got started out.
Jason Statham made his first cinematic appearance in 1998. It took a few years for him to land a major lead role as far as Hollywood went, but in retrospect it was a pretty short amount of time, perhaps 3 or 4 years. Often compared to Steve McQueen, another actor who started out as a side character actor, he was capable of stealing a film with what few scenes he was given. It was quality over quantity basically. His on-screen charm and charisma, not to mention his one-of-a-kind deadpan comedic timing, really won his fans and quite a following. Many of you out there might remember his Kit Kat adverts that he appeared in, this being a typical example of his being funny without being ha-ha funny, similar to Van Damme's Coors Light adverts but not quite as wooden.
Finally, heroically, reaches its goal, and it's absolutely knackered. And it dies. Remember, you are not a salmon.
So let's begin. This British diving team member, sports driver, French Connection UK model turned actor got his first big break in Guy Ritchie's crowning achievement, highly respected and thoroughly entertaining dark British comedy Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, which was released in theatres in 1998. It is said that Statham's authentic streetwise delivery, having been a black market vendor, similar to what we see him doing in the opening scene of the film, was something that also landed him the part of Bacon in this film. I'd give it 10 out of 10. 2 years later, in the year 2000, an unofficial sequel to Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels was made, Snatch. It was a major success, and his part as character Turkish catapulted his presence into Hollywood, in a similar sense to Ewan McGregor saw after British film Trainspotting had for him a few years earlier. Brilliantly written and well put together, this is often considered as one of the best British films of all time. I know I feel comfortable saying that at least. Again, like Lock, Stock, I'm giving this a 10 out of 10.
Another bit of interesting trivia for you. If you have the British DVD at the very least, it's a 2-disc version, and on the extra features there is actually a hidden Easter egg. If you put in disc 2, which one is disc 2? Because it doesn't actually say on here. Let's try and pop it in the machine. I'm thinking it's probably going to be this one. Let's just pop it in the machine there and see what happens. Indeed, I was correct. This is the extras disc. Now, what you want to do to access this hidden extra, well, there's a number of hidden extras on this, but the main one that I'm going to talk about is if you go onto the next page on here, so you want to go onto the next, so if you just get the remote and hit that, you get a number of options, one of which says B-roll, which you can see in the bottom corner. So you get the remote, obviously, and shuffle across to B-roll. You highlight it, you press up twice, I've pressed it once, and then the colour kind of goes away. You press it again, you get this exclamation mark. Press OK on that, and you get this. Are you easily offended? You're going to put no because, you wouldn't be watching this film otherwise, so click on no, and then you get this nice little tree that comes up for you.
Shut up and sit down, you big bald fuck. Give me that fucking shooter. I hate fucking dogs. Fucking dogs.
Yes, it's basically a montage of all the swearing throughout the film. So you've got swearing, gunshots, blood, bollocks, balls, pussy, prick, galore. Go nuts.
Bollocks, balls, pussy, prick, bastard, piece of shit. It's only a fucking dog.
Moving on. Statham's third film, Turn It Up, was his first American project. Now, I would regard this as one of my least favourite and most forgettable of his films. Have you ever seen or heard of this film? No? Well, point made. Nothing to do with Statham's role in the piece. In fact, I'd say that his moments are the best bits of the film. It's just that any film that has American rappers like Ja Rule playing an action star that has to hold guns sideways whilst pulling the trigger pretty much makes me cringe. How's Statham holding his anyway? There you go, see? He's holding his gun straight. Good man, well done. He doesn't have to hold his gun sideways to look cool. In this film, Statham plays a bad guy anyway. Again, it's a bit of a dumb film, but if you want to have a laugh at it while seeing our guy break into Hollywood for the first time, go nuts. I'm going to give this a generous 3 out of 10. Statham turned down the popular film Dog Soldiers to appear in his next film, John Carpenter's Ghosts of Mars, in 2001. I'd say it was a good choice personally, but then again I'm a massive fan of John Carpenter, so I guess I'm biased. In this one he plays Sergeant Jericho Butler, a cocky, womanizing badass, but at least he's a good guy in this one. At this point he's still making his way in Hollywood. He has plenty of scenes, but he's pushed aside as a character, and screen time is kind of limited, at least compared to the main players in this film, Natasha Henstridge and rapper Ice Cube.
Well, yeah, this film has got Ice Cube in it, and he's a rapper and everything, but at least he's not holding his gun sideways. It's not like I've got anything against rappers, just don't do the sideways gun holding thing, because it just looks really bad.
Yes, he's pretty cool as Ice Cube. He wouldn't do this to us. What? No, he's not going to do it. He wouldn't. Oh, he's doing it. Brilliant. Anyway, that aside, good futuristic slasher sci-fi action flick anyway. I'd say 7 out of 10. I think by this point Statham was pretty much set to be typecast as the action guy as far as Hollywood went. His next film, The One, in 2001 was certainly no exception. This was his first film with Jet Li, whom he'd also go on to make such films as War and of course Expendables films, although we'll get to those in a later review. He plays another futuristic badass good guy whose name I totally can't pronounce. My only gripe about this film is that Statham's pretty lame fake American accent does kind of stand out.
The only way to stop him. My own design. Yeah, that'll work too.
I guess that's not my only gripe about The One. This was 2001, and I think after The Matrix in 99, for a few years at least, the old style of making action films with practical effects and stunt work was given a bit of a backseat to god-awful CGI and stuntmen on wires giving ridiculous action performances. Well, I guess there's no sideways guns in this one. Well, I think. Pretty good enough film anyway. Pretty average. I'd say 6 out of 10. Next we have a return to the UK for a film produced but not directed by Guy Ritchie, Mean Machine. I'm not big into football or soccer, in fact I find it kind of boring, but this is a pretty good film nonetheless. Statham plays a goalkeeper prison inmate called the Monk. Pretty unhinged guy as you can see. Some memorable moments in the film, and it stars quite a few of the same guys that were in Lock, Stock and Snatch, so it's a welcome return to the genre that started it all for our lad. And he's on top form. I'll give the film 6 out of 10. Next we have Statham's first major lead role in an American film, written by acclaimed film director Luc Besson. 2002's The Transporter is awesome. Again, it has some of the elements of the era's action film flaws. The action feels a little bit matrixy at times, but we forgive this one easily because it's so well done. Statham did a lot, if not the majority of his own stunt work in this, which I think really pays off, and it took me by surprise when I first saw this. I was like, Statham is an all-out action star? I mean, up till this point he had done some action, but nothing this gritty and physical. Like I say, you can see that it's actually him doing the action. Following the dwindling of the 80s and 90s action stars like Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Van Damme and Steven Seagal, at this point it was great to see some new blood brought into play. Statham plays Frank Martin, a no questions asked professional driver for hire, a part he would reprise again for a couple of sequels, which we will get to in due course. I'm going to give The Transporter a 9 out of 10. Next up we have the remake of the old Michael Caine film The Italian Job, released in 2003. This one sees Statham pushed to the side slightly in this ensemble cast with Mark Wahlberg, Edward Norton and Charlize Theron. He plays memorable character, the quick-thinking, smooth-talking, handsome Rob. This part very much reminds me of Steve McQueen's part in The Great Escape. He's not the main actor / character in the film, but he's the one that we remember the most and the best. Anyway, good film, 7 out of 10. His next film, well, we can't really say it was his film. Tom Cruise landed the role, I heard a rumour that Statham was in line for the main part in this film at one point, Collateral in 2003. My favourite Tom Cruise film. Pretty much he's awesome in this, but there's a brief cameo with Statham right at the beginning. It's kind of a nod to the Frank Martin character of the Transporter the year before. I like to think that the airport man is Frank Martin. It kind of makes the film a bit more cooler that way. Not that there's anything wrong with it, it is a great film. Like I say, there's only a brief cameo, but I thought I'd include it in this. Director Michael Mann at his best, 8 out of 10 for this film. Okay, the last film of 2004, and I will wrap up part 1 of this review with Cellular. Statham plays another bad guy. He kidnaps Kim Basinger for reasons that only become clear later on in the film. She's stuck in an attic with a smashed up telephone and manages to make a random call to our hero Chris Evans. He takes her call but needs to stay on the line for technical reasons. Basically, if he hangs up, he's lost her for good and she'll likely die. So Evans pretty much has to run a gauntlet to help rescue her. In some ways this film is a bit like the 1994 film Speed. Just the original concept and pace make it really fun and enjoyable to watch. I definitely recommend this one if you've not seen it. I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
Well, that pretty much ends part 1 anyway. We've reviewed the first few films. I'm going to pick it up from the films that he did from sort of 2005 onwards next. We've got part of the way down. This is all that we've got left basically to do. So I think we can cover this in, I don't know, maybe 2 more videos. I'll try to keep it brief anyway. But again, hope you enjoy it. Check out the website brandxreviews.com. There's going to be plenty of updates and stuff on there as time goes by. So check back. I don't know when part 2 is going to come out, by the way, but I'm going to try and get it done as soon as I can. Thank you very much for watching.